All right, let's dive into something a little different today. We talk a lot about equity in big places like our jobs or schools. But what about the very first society we're ever a part of, our family? Today we're going to look at a pretty cool tool that helps you map your family's equity health.
And it really all boils down to this one simple but honestly pretty deep question. How safe is it to be different in your family? Just think about that for a sec. Your identity, your beliefs, all your experiences. How are they really received when you're all together?
Because, whether we realize it or not, our families are our first classrooms. This is where we learn the really foundational stuff about difference, about who gets to speak their mind, and whose experiences are actually valued.
So why even bother mapping this? Well, because trying to navigate all these differences without the right tools can be so challenging. It often just leads to silence, or worse, a ton of misunderstanding.
I think we've all been there, right? These topics can feel like absolute minefields. So, just to keep the peace, a lot of us, we just don't go there. The conversations get shut down before they even have a chance to start. And it's usually not out of malice, it's just fear or not knowing what to say. But what if you had a guide? Not a weapon to win arguments, but a map, something for understanding. A tool that's designed purely for awareness, just to see where everyone is, compassionately, and with zero judgment. And that map is called the 6 Stages Framework. So let's take a look at how this tool can help us actually start having some of these really important conversations. So at its core, this framework is a developmental model. It just recognizes that our understanding of equity isn't fixed. It's not static. It's a journey. It helps us figure out where we are right now so we can then figure out, okay, what's the next step forward? Now, the scale itself is really interesting. It runs from a -6 all the way to a +6. The negative side represents stages of, resistance, harm, or exclusion. The positive side, on the other hand, well, that's where we see movement toward growth, curiosity, and eventually even leadership. And listen, this is so important to remember. This is not about getting a perfect score. It is not a test. The whole point is just to be honest about where you are and to start moving. Progress is the goal here, not perfection.
Okay, so how do we actually use this thing? Well, the next step is to create what's called a family equity profile. The tool uses this really cool visual. It's a radar chart, and it lets you plot scores for yourself or maybe how you see others across different characteristics like race, gender, disability, you name it. It gives you this incredible visual snapshot of your family's landscape. For instance, someone might honestly rate themselves a +6 on race, feeling like they're a true leader in that space. But maybe they see themselves as a +4 on neurodiversity, recognizing, hey, I'm still learning here. It's not about being good or bad. It's just about spotting those areas for growth.
The best way to begin is always with self-reflection. Be totally honest with yourself, but also be gentle. Once you've kind of found yourself on the map, you can then decide if it feels safe and, productive to invite other family members to do the same.
Once you have this map, even if it's just for yourself, you can start to see some fascinating patterns. The worksheet comes with a few discussion prompts to help you do just that. First off, think about the gap between your own self-perception and how others might see you. Where do you think you are on this journey? And if you asked your siblings or your parents, would their answer be the same?
This is a powerful one. In basically every family, there's someone who carries the weight of managing tensions, of educating others, or just translating experiences to keep everything running smoothly. Who's that person in your family?
And finally, try to identify the roadblocks. Is there a certain topic that always gets shut down? A particular identity that's met with just silence or discomfort? Just naming it is the very first step to understanding it. Reflection is absolutely critical, but it's only half the journey. The other half is all about action. So here are a few really concrete strategies for moving forward. This doesn't have to be some massive overhaul, okay? Start small. Just have one intentional conversation. The goal isn't to win an argument, it's just to share and listen. Use the scale for your own private reflection, and probably most important, celebrate the small wins. And this quote right here, it just gets to the absolute heart of it. The goal is not to force everyone to agree. It's to create an environment where growth is actually possible for everyone, no matter where they're starting from.
And please don't underestimate the power of a small shift. Moving from a -1, which is a stage of avoidance, to a +1, a stage of curiosity, that is a monumental leap. It is the difference between a closed door and one that's just starting to creak open.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about.
Considering your own family, your own dinner table, what is just one intentional step you could take this week to create a little more safety, a little more curiosity, and a little more growth?